Hi, learners. This is Dr. Joel. I thought I'd do a midweek check-in on week 4. Uh, First of all, I think everybody's doing pretty good. Um, but I wanted to talk a little bit about market structures because, as I mentioned in my first announcement at the beginning of this week, I think that's one of the big takeaways, and one of the things that I think as business people that we can really wrap our heads around if we think about it. I mean, the four basic market structures um, that hopefully you're going to understand through the next couple of weeks: monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, and perfect competition. So I think it's important for you to understand when you're in business, or if you're even an employee at a business, what market structure is your company operating in? I know most of my career was at Boeing, and that was really an oligopoly. And actually, it was a subset of oligopoly. It was a duopoly with Airbus and Boeing. And the way the companies interact with each other are totally different than if they would have been a monopoly, or if they would have been monopolistic competition or perfect competition. So um, this is very, very important for you to understand, because when you think about how your company reacts with not only their competitors, but also the consumers that are purchasing the goods, uh, this really, really helps. So think about that as you're learning this, because that's one of the nice things I think about this course. Uh, we can, as adults, think about how does this really apply to me? And I think this is extremely important. So please pay attention to this over the next few weeks as we learn about the market structures. And don't get confused with monopolistic competition and monopolies. I know that I've had learners in the past that had a struggle, and they just see the word monopoly, and they think it's a monopoly, and it's not. You can probably think about different companies or different products that fit each one, like perfect competition. I live in Kansas, and the wheat farmers, for instance, they're price takers because they're not big enough to really move the needle, so to speak, on the price. So whatever the co-op tells us that the price of wheat is, that's either they take it or they don't take it. They can't go in and say, the co-op says, well, it's $4 a bushel. I said, no, I want $4.10. Well, they say, well, sorry, it's $4 is the market price. And when we think about perfect competition, the goods are extremely homogeneous. When we get into monopolistic competition, one of the things that I think about is, like fast food restaurants. I mean, a burger is kind of a burger, but how do they differentiate from each other? A lot of it's advertising. So it's a similar good. It's basically homogenous, but they differentiate themselves through advertising and other things. When um, when you get into an oligopoly, there's very few participants, and I know that a lot of you picked Apple and some other things, ExxonMobil. So there's some, perhaps depending on the product, but there's some oligopoly activities when you think about your companies there, and it's basically because there's few people engaged in that production because of a lot of barriers to entry. And then you get into monopoly, where you only have one, and that's typically because of a government intervention. Some of the utility companies, for instance, which none of the companies that you're looking at is a monopoly, but sometimes I struggle, and I know some of the learners in the past when I've taught this course have struggled. Is it an oligopoly, or is it monopolistic competition? Well, sometimes it depends on the product within the particular company, because we could think about Apple and Samsung, for instance, and some of the goods, we might consider that an oligopolistic market. Some of it might be monopolistic competition. So anyway, just don't discount the learning that you're going to be taken care of during the next few weeks on the market structures, because I know that when I was an executive at Boeing and at Spirit AeroSystems, understanding the behaviors of not only the competitors but also suppliers and also consumers really helped me to understand market behavior and make better decisions. So think about that as we go through this week and the next few weeks. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, because I am here to help you succeed.